right, it is 6 o'clock PM and I will call to order the July Taipei Economic Development Corporation Board meeting. We do have a quorum present. I assume no one is signed up to speak in our open forum.
No, ma'am.
So item number C, review and discuss questions related to the budget report and financial statement for June of 2024.
Our budget continues to look really well. The only money we've spent was roughly around 36,500, and that was for the first part of the incentives for Taco Bell. That was the demo and the asbestos removal, study and removal for that. And then that next installment won't come into play until they're ready to open, and then for any tap fees or anything that might be accumulated from Johnson County Special Utility District. So we won't see that until, like I said, when they open. But our fund balance right now is a little over 2.1 million. So we're sitting really nice. And everything else looks pretty good. We're right on track, if not a little bit ahead, I think, just because we've been bringing in more sales tax than what we anticipated with the last year's budget.
Any questions? All right, number 2, discuss, consider possible action on the June 10, 2024 meeting minutes. Any questions? Accept the minutes.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second to accept the minutes from June 10, 2024. All those in favor? Motion carries. Item 3, discuss, consider possible action on approving a contract with Placer AI for collection of geolocations from mobile devices.
So this company's been after me for a while, even in the previous city that I was at. It's actually a great company, and I think it'd be very beneficial for us here. What they do is they do track mobile activity, footprints, all of that from location to location. And it would actually help me greatly because I am the only person in this department. And so basically it reveals the traffic patterns, visitation trends. For example, I had him pull up another grocery store. Like, I've always talked about us getting the potential of a second grocery store. So just for the heck of it, I said, pull up Aldi. How many of our citizens are going to Aldi? And it was a huge amount of ours were. I think it's split between Cleburne and Burleson. But I did find out something very interesting. So it also tracks cannibalization. So I also realized that most likely they will not come here because it's going to take half of Burleson's foot traffic from our city.
So Aldi would be from here.
Yeah.
Clarify with here.
Yes. So I would have to maybe find a different, so I did have them pull up another one that's further away, not an Aldi. That's just for the sake of argument, Trader Joe's, right? So even though that'll take some doing, but they said that was highly, because they do a percentage of how favorable it would be, once you convince them. So it does things like that. I also had him, they pulled up their downtown, and I can do, for like certain months for the whole year, it'll do a graph trend of how many people and they do a bubble map. Like, we have people coming from Fort Worth, Mansfield, all over to go eat in our downtown. So these are just like amazing statistics that we are able to promote. So when we do have our businesses coming down here, or to convince them to open in downtown, I can show those to them, saying this is a highly sought out piece of, real estate over here. Well, one thing I found very, very interesting, 2 things, is I was looking at the trend, and one of the days it showed that the Brick House Grill had 800 visitations in one day. And I just thought that was incredible. And it was during Spring on Main. So the Spring on Main festival, so I can track the festivals and how much business it brings in the downtown. And I didn't have time with them on Zoom to go anything else. But if Brick House was doing that well, all of them were doing that well.
Oh, yeah.
And it also tracks foot traffic. And then the other interesting thing is he pulled up the park, and just from June 2023 to June 2024, we had 80,000 visitors in our park. I just thought that was phenomenal. And so I'm able to pinpoint certain things. It's got a dashboard. It gives me the ability to track retail, restaurant, and actually, void analysis. He just did a quick void analysis on grocery stores of what the potential, percentage would be for them to come to our city. But I can pinpoint, like, I can see how well is our McDonald's doing versus Cleveland's, or, how well would, let's say we wanted to bring in a Brahms or something. Like, what's the compatibility? What's the cannibalization? What's the compatibility? Just makes my job a little bit easier instead of trying to go off after ghost retail, that, because they use the same product. And then it just gives me a little more tools in my tool belt instead of wasting my time going after these companies that I know might bite a little bit better.
So is this through just like a demo sort of thing that you were able to look at this so
Yes.
far?
Yes. And they price it out based on your population, so we wouldn't pay the same as Burleson or Cleburne or Fort Worth. Our population, it's 14,000 a year, in order to access all that data, and there's so much more that he couldn't even go over on the demo that this program offers. Because I can even do strategic goals. I can pinpoint a certain piece of property, and I can also do it based off of demographics, like, what's the age group that comes here? How many kids are going to this certain place? And it really it allows me to break it down in detail, to be able to go after certain entities, like what if we want to bring a family entertainment in? Where are these people going? They tracked people from Joshua have visited the town center crossing, where Target is in Burleson, 16,000 times over the last year. Because, Target's their Home Depot, all of that. He just did that little shopping center. And so things like that I can actually go, okay, if we can bring something like that here, it gives me a little more bargaining power, a little more. And, go ahead.
So is this a 1-year situation?
It would be annual. If we continue to keep it, it would be an annual payment.
But we could try
You
it for
could.
a year and then make
Yes.
a decision
Yes.
next year.
And then as far as the budget, it will come out of, because I have a certain amount of money in the advertising budget, which we've hardly used any of. We budgeted last year 40,000 and we still have 36,425 left over. So those things I use for like swag, event stuff. When I say event stuff, I mean like purchasing, like the fishing thing that we did. I did the beanies, and that all comes out of advertisement. So this is set up for things like this, for me to be able to advertise and so we have the money in the budget.
So if we did this, could we make sure that we have, that we revisit it next year in advance of decide if we
Sure.
decide to renew, so that we can kind of get an idea of, where you saw the value in it or not, so that we could kind of make a decision
Absolutely.
if we were to.
Yeah, I'd like to see what we're netting.
Okay.
We can go ahead and post it on the
Even-
agenda in here, so it automatically reminds us it'll be there.
Even if
We
we've got
get a
stuff that's not
6
landed
months
with it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I just want to for sure make sure that we definitely do it
Yeah.
before the bill comes due again.
Yes.
I'm
with you.
curious, forward looking, when it comes to like big box stores, you mentioned Home Depot, yada, yada, yada. I'm assuming that that's gonna go more west out towards the tollway, so that we capture more of that godly, but that's probably.
That's Burleson.
Well, yes, so that would be ideal. However, you're right, because if I were to bring a box store in, I would try to find something that Cleburne and Burleson doesn't have, because they're gonna be coming to us. And then you want it to be near where maybe our restaurants and fast food are, because you want to kind of bank off of that too, right? As far as the toll road, 917, our city limit stops a mile before the toll road, and that is on both sides. It's Cleburne and Burleson. On the 904 side, it's quarter mile, not even, maybe it's a half mile.
I was just saying that I'm assuming that
Yeah.
would be where that would be.
And
headed,
water and
because-
sewer's tough out there, so that would be hard.
And there's what?
their water sewer, there's no sewer out there, and I think there's limited water.
Well, but I'm also thinking, I mean, eventually, there's gonna be more expansion down the toll road, us being able to try to get things in here before we're then competing against other things that are brought in out there, because a lot of retailers don't want something else within so many miles.
Right.
And so that's gonna. be
And then,
different.
and on the other side of that coin too, there's a lot of them that like to partner with the weirdest, like retail. It's very interesting how some like to cluster, even if it's like-minded. It's a very interesting dynamic of,
Yeah.
if you just pay attention when you guys drive around and you see,
But you always see Old Navy and Ulta and,
yeah,
you know,
they like to cluster together. And so those are some of the trends that this will also give me those trends. It'll show, like say, we are able to bring Trader Joe's in. It's gonna tell me what stores like to accompany them, which helps when you're doing, that's why we're working on that 6-acre retail south of here. We've already been working on that, of the potential of bringing one in and then you fill it up quicker because there's certain entities that like to be with them. So. But yet definitely, we can put that on there to where we can see the value, but it's not just, you can do just like the park and your events, and it's a little bit easier to track, other than, you know, 2 people, you know, we go, hey, there's a lot of people here, but cell phone data pings gives us a more accurate head count for events, parks, you know, things like that. So it's not just retail, it's really, it'll be beneficial for, and I have a feeling there's so much more that this program will do that he and I just did not get a chance to go over.
I thought that we had something like this. Did we have something
We-
similar
we did.
previously?
We did. It was where they were going through the different parking lots and checking license plates and trying to see how the traffic was.
Oh,
It was, it was several years ago.
Was it
Several
also,
years ago.
they also partner with a third party to where I can get a more accurate traffic count instead of waiting for text dot because of the cell phone dings. I mean, it's pretty accurate, but I mean, it's in real time. And so I was excited about that too. Again, there's so much. It's like, I get excited because there's so much more that this program can do that we can benefit from.
If you get it, can you come back and let us know how it's progressing?
Sure, I can give you guys an update on that every month.
Yeah.
Be good.
Yeah, absolutely.
At least quarterly.
Sure.
That would be my,
Sure.
or what I would like to see.
Absolutely.
For minute purposes, at every month or quarterly.
Is there, what are the downsides to this? Nobody's talked about any of that
Say
yet.
at least quarterly.
There's not really any, it's statistics, it's data. So the only downside is you're spending $14,000 a year for it. I mean, that's the downside. I haven't dove into it for a downside. I don't see a downside. Like right now, I'm using Encore for little stuff that's not accurate. Like I have a good relationship with Heather. She's the ED on the Encore side. And they have a little program that's free for anybody to go in, and you can track, like your population and stuff, but it's not accurate because they have to go off of water bills and stuff. So it doesn't tell them how many people are in the houses and things like that. So some of that data is not, I don't like to use when I'm trying to recruit a retail, because like the population and other data that they have based off of what they've been told off of water bills and stuff. Because when you're wanting to try to bring in an entity, you want your population to be as accurate as possible, your rooftops and all of that. And then some people aren't, they have well water and septic, and so they're not on that list. So, and then a lot of it is also the 76058, which also expands, which is not in our city limits, and it expands over the Chisholm Trail. And even though it's a Joshua address, it's not in our city limits. So, and then this also tracks trade area, which is bigger. So our trade area right now, population is 36,000, because it gathers, it's like a 5-mile trade area. And it's like a big circle around the city of Joshua, and it encapsulates Johnson County and the people that live in the county too that are using our services.
What are your tracking that versus just fiscal bleed.
Oh, you mean, leakages?
Yeah,
It does
well,
that too.
So, I mean, you know Aaron Moses from Keene.
Yeah,
I took a market research class from him, and he was talking about one of the things that they had done is they, I think it was about $50,000 they spent for a year with a program to basically look at where everybody spends dollars digitally.
it was retail strategies. We had them before I left.
Yep.
And it's a leakage report. And then that's where we came in. Just fun fact, we used that leakage report when we were trying to get alcohol on the ballot for them. Cause that was the stall for a lot of any kind of development out there. And they had $2.6 million in leakage in alcohol sales out of the city based off of cell phone data.
Yep.
And so this does the same thing. And that's where, like the void analysis. And so this whole thing right here is, cause we were talking about supermarkets. And so it's a leakage
So
report.
it tells you that I'm always going to HEB instead of Berkshire.
And it does. And it puts your name on there and it says how much time you spent there. That's the beauty too, it doesn't, it's not credit card, because the retail strategies, well, it used to be credit card, except it only captured Visa. It didn't do cash, MasterCard or anything, right? But that's how we found out how much clothing, how much all of this. And so this isn't as detailed as that. I mean, I think you'd have to get into the credit card purchases of, like, we knew what type of toilet paper people were buying, what brand. We knew what fast food, what restaurants they were frequenting. We knew what liquor stores they were going to. And it was a very detailed program. This one doesn't do that because I don't need that. I just want to know what restaurants, what fast food, where they're going during the day. And you guys, it'd be nice to know too, you'd be happy to hear. A lot of retail, fast food and restaurants, they really want your daytime traffic, your daytime population. And our daytime population here in the city of Joshua is 26,000 during the day, which is rare for a city because usually people are working outside. And so I was very surprised to see that. And that actually came from retail strategies because I got that scholarship, the grant to go to that downtown academy 2 months ago. And they did all of that for me as well.
Very cool.
Yeah. So all of this is just very interesting and it's very helpful.
There's a lot of potential here if we can fill the right voids.
Mhm. And it helps me find out what people actually want instead of me going, throwing balls in the air and trying to see, wait for somebody to, catch these many balls that I'm trying to throw. But if I can zero in on where most of our population is going, then I'm going to pursue those.
Are we looking for a motion to push ahead with this?
Yes.
No?
Yes, so it looks like this is a 1-year contract for $14,000. And it is a one and done invoice. So that's why I was saying I wanted to make sure, if nothing else, that we revisit this in advance of a renewal to really understand what the value is before we determine.
I think by,
With an update every quarterly.
yeah,
Correct.
I think by March, we should be thinking of March of next year, 2025, we should take a really hard look at this to see what we've already gathered from it and what we're looking at in the next 6 months. But based on that, I would make a motion to move ahead with this.
A motion and a second to approve the contract with, is it Placer?
Yes, Placer AI.
Placer AI for the collection of geolocation for mobile devices. Any other questions? All those in favor? And that is unanimous. Item 4, the monthly economic development update.
I'm excited to tell you, Whataburger has turned in site plans. But then we had to send them back because they didn't have everything they needed. So they haven't officially pulled a permit or paid for the permit because there's some other items they have to add to it. But I was excited to see that. So, that is good news. Taco Bell is, still on its way. We're still waiting on, they're still going back and forth, the two engineers for Taco Bell and then our city engineer, just some little tweaks that need to be done. And I think because this property was so small and they've changed their footprint, it's been a little, not difficult, just, it's taken a little more time. Because of the variances we had to give for landscaping and parking. And so they're just trying to make sure, our city engineers, just making sure that the city is doing what's right without causing too much hardship on Taco Bell as well. So it's been a really good relationship on both sides. So it's been great. I'm also happy to report, I don't know if, I'm sure many of you remember, this has been, since I got here, a project I was working on with American Steel. They have finally secured the 12 acres across the street for their expansion. And they're looking at building, right now, they're going to be, they closed last month on it. And they are looking to right now just put temporary shelters up to protect some of the steel because it's been so hot. And then they're looking at building like 100,000 square foot building out there for extra storage. And then they're gonna be putting others out there as well. So they're also working on, they asked me not to share this yet publicly, but they're gonna be working on an expansion manufacturing item that they're gonna be providing.
Not an executive session.
No.
I'm not telling you.
They just said, they don't want me to tell you what it is.
Oh, okay, okay.
Is what I meant.
She doesn't want to tell public what it is.
They don't want to tell, they said, they asked me, because I talked to him last week and he said, just don't, you can tell them that we're gonna be expanding and doing some other things. But he said, we're not ready yet. Until we're ready to be up and running, then that's when we'll share it.
Is this across the street or the lot next to them?
No, the lot next to him is UMC property. So it's the 12 acres across the street. Well, it's kind of diagonal across the street, and it goes behind the trailer sales, the horse trailer and all that sales, which they love. They're in desperate need of it. They're doing phenomenal, and they are just growing and growing, and we're just so excited that they're here in Joshua, and they love being here. We also have three retail buildings that are gonna be coming up on downtown here. One is next to Oh Why Not, and that's the Rumfield. I always try to add an S to his name. Not really sure if it's gonna be an office building on the west side next to Oh Why Not. But then the other side, on the east side, directly across the street, it's gonna be a 4-unit building. It's gonna look the same as, he just builds beautiful buildings. It's gonna be 4 units, 25,000 square feet, 2,500 square feet each. 25,000, that'd be really big. Yeah, 2,500 square feet, in that building. And then he's working on another one on 917 in Maine. And that one's gonna be bigger. It's gonna be 2. And so I'm excited to help him fill those. So we're moving right along, with that. Let's see. I think next month, I'm hoping we're gonna go into executive session to discuss 2 other potential, companies that I'm working on. I have meetings with them this week and then next week on the other one. So, cross your fingers, because I'll be coming to you to see maybe what we need to do to ensure that they choose Joshua. And I just wanted to give you a heads up for everybody to be here so we can have an executive session next month. And I'll keep you updated. It'll either be next month or the month after. It depends on how my conversations go with them in the next week or 2.
So will we have an idea next month what our total out-of-pocket's gonna end up being for Taco Bell?
Oh, we already do. No, we won't until we get the final amount.
Okay.
The only thing right now is Jay said. So we won't know until, they're given that estimate or that invoice of what it's gonna cost. Cause on our 380 agreement, we did not agree to cover the tap fees. It was just impact fees only. But, I believe right now the impact fees are on hold until they do some research and stuff. So, which I'm sure they'll have that ironed out by the time, those impact fees come into play.
Buffalo House is gone.
It is, doesn't it look great?
I
But
noticed Taco Bell's advertising for employees on the internet.
are they already?
Yes.
Yes.
They are ready to go. They are raring to go.
Who's gonna take down the old tree?
They are too, they will.
Who is?
I don't know. It'll be Taco Bell. I mean, it's their, when they start doing the groundwork, they'll tear that out. They have their own ground crew. They just wanted to hurry up, just like we did, get the house demolished, the asbestos and get that done and out of there. And then the demolish guy came in and smoothed out the land and ripped up the concrete. I just went blank on the demolition company.
LCD Landy.
Yes, Landy. And so the rest of it's gonna be Taco Bell's construction crew. They'll come in and, I'm surprised they didn't take the tree out, but I think that's just part of their process, cause the cleared is just where the house was. It's nothing else, but you'll see all of that. I'm sure they'll put a fence up and to keep people from being able to park there where they're parking now and stuff, so. That's all I got. So. Anybody have questions for me?
Record.
All right, do we have anything for, item D, Molly, for executive session? I think it was just, we reserved the right to go into executive session if you had.
Yeah, I don't.
Okay.
I don't have anything to share yet.
Okay. Item E is any future agenda items requested by directors to be on the next agenda. All right, then at 6:27, we will adjourn. Thank you very much.
Thank you.